Hey, what's up, YouTube? George here, Trading Futures Live, where we trade futures live in front of the camera every single day. We show you our winners, we show you our losers. Very quickly, trading is inherently risky and can result in the loss of capital, so please do not take any of our trades or copy any of our trades. We are here for educational purposes only. And let's go ahead and get right into it. If you saw the pre-market analysis, we already had our news on the day. We also had a capitalization utilization, basically came in right as expected, and so no other news events scheduled for the day on Forex Factory. We do have core retail sales tomorrow and FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow as well, so those are the red folders on the week. If we go ahead and take a look at the markets in the overnight, I've got the four major indexes here to the left. We are going to gap down slightly, about 0.25% on all the markets, pushing down a little bit right now to the lows on the overnight on all four indexes. We do have the dollar coming down a little bit right now. It did go up in the European session and has since been retracing in the US session, but holding this 21 EMA trend line and holding this trend line from yesterday. Let me get rid of that one now. So still going up, and that is somewhat bearish for the market. If we actually let's go to the daily real quick and see where the dollar is at on the daily. So it's in it's at the top of this range here in some supply. Has not broken that high there yet. So we'll see if it pushes through there, or maybe gets rejected off a little bit and starts to come down, giving the market some impetus to go up. Crude coming down steadily. Gold below 1800 right now, and pulling back from this run up that it had from below 1700. And the VIX has been steadily coming down and holding below 21, basically. Been coming down, broke below, been in the 19s, in the low 19s even, pulled back up to about 21, but is holding below 21 on the VIX. And so got the market is open. Let's go ahead and take a look. Nothing major yet. Give me a second, guys. I'd have some decent volume in this first candle. Certainly more than yesterday. Do have a couple of naked POCs to the downside. None really to the upside. I probably need to add more data to this to go back further. Full 3 43.65. That'll take a minute or two to load. Oh, 43.40. So a couple of close naked POCs to the downside and a naked POC, a break above that potentially be one of my targets there, 43.40. And to the downside, if we get a breakdown, I'm going to want to be very aware of this naked POC as well as the value area low from yesterday, which is the overnight low. So yeah, pretty decent volume in that first candle there on the 2-minute. A little push up right now. Started the week off yesterday down 3/4 of an R in this not so bueno execution that I had going on over here. So we're going to stay patient today. Good morning, Stall. We're going to stay patient today. Still in a very, very, very tight range. We'll go ahead and look here. We've only done 16.5 points so far in the overnight. The ATR, daily ATR has been coming down. We're at 69 right now on the daily ATR. So we haven't even done a quarter of that, essentially. Maybe just about a quarter that we've done between the overnight high and the overnight low. And so we're going to stay patient. I'm certainly not trading inside of a 16-point range. That's not happening. I do not have a trade plan for that. So I will apologize ahead of time that if it stays in such a tight range that there will be not much going on for us today. At the very least, I need to see a push up into this high from yesterday and maybe get some rejections off to get short. And I'd want to see maybe like a false breakout of this overnight low, right? And then retest it once or twice to maybe get long from there. But let's take a quick look at the internals. Opening down in negative territory, right? We opened up about down 0.5% from yesterday, so understandable that it's closing down, and everything is pushing up. It wasn't any sort of extreme, though. Here at negative 600, negative 1,000. I don't consider that extreme. 1,500 I would consider extreme. But I mean, the advanced decline there on the NQ did open up decently down, and negative 400 is not an extreme low to open up from. I mean, we're used to seeing it open up way down here in the negative thousands or up here in the thousands. So no major sentiment in the market really right now. I wouldn't even call this bearish sentiment. We're just created a new high yesterday and we just been hanging out below it. That is it. Good morning, good morning. Take a look at the volume here on the 5-minute up at 40,000. Mark that out. Yeah, so way above the last 3 days, in line with, I mean, it's very good volume. This is CPI from last Wednesday, and PC or PPI. And so very good volume so far. Certainly much better than yesterday. And Q is breaking down. Russell breaking down. Dow is pushing up, so very mixed markets right now. Let's take a look here. NQ broke the overnight low. Dow did not break the overnight high, but is right at it. Russell going down. ES flat. Very, very mixed. Very uncohesive. Dollar's continuing to come down. VIX is flat. Watch this on the 30-minute. Russell testing these lows at the low. It's got a heck of a racetrack back down. Everything's got a pretty decent racetrack to the downside created yesterday. Take a look at the NQ here. Did break down. Did not close below. So I would not have necessarily looked to get short right away. Definitely want to see a 5-minute close below there. Hopefully I learned my lesson from yesterday. Got the 2-minute here. I need to clear that. Got some levels marked out here on the NQ. Minute left in this 5 minute. See where it closes. Still nothing from the ES. Trapped. Trapped. Still trapped. NQ did close. If I were to get in short right now, I'd kind of want my stop to be above the high from the open here, above this pivot. Unless you get in on a breakout short, in which case you could have your stop up here at 13,635, let's say, behind this mess. But if I were to take this trade, which I am not, it's been quite a while since I've traded the NQ, but I would be probably looking at something like this. So risking like 28 points. Target would need to be down into there. 13,577. Below the high from Friday, so I'd want it to be above that high. The target looking more like at 87 instead of 77. Would need for a 2-to-1 trade, would have to put my entry right around here, 37.50. And to get in up here, I would want to then see price action confirmation to get into the trade. I wouldn't be putting a limit order here at the moment. The Russell continues to push down. It's definitely the weakest, followed by the NQ. The Dow is the strongest, and the ES is trash right now. Straight trash. You got in on the breakout. I just don't necessarily like where the target would have to be. Stop behind there. Where was that target? 55, 56, basically. Down to the next level. So, and I mean, you do have a racetrack, so it wouldn't necessarily be a terrible trade. Take a look at the internals. Advanced decline pushes through there and makes a new low. That would be in your favor. I wouldn't necessarily say that the tick chart was trending down at all, but it's certainly staying in negative territory here on the ES. Let's see if we get the ES to follow. Maybe I can get into something. Just trying to test those lows right now. Russell down 0.5%, NQ down 0.6, ES down 0.13, and the YM down or up 0.1. So quite mixed. Two indexes going down, two indexes essentially flat. Stop wasn't even where it needed to be. If you got in on the breakout, could potentially I would do the full risk reward's a little rough there. Down to that next zone. Got the VIX with a spike right now, but essentially flat on the day. Yesterday we had the VIX trending down steadily all morning long. Took a while for the markets to catch up to the move on the VIX though. Getting a spike up on the tick charts right now. New highs on both the NYSE and the NQ. Didn't really get a strong push on the advanced decline here. Getting quite a bit of a retracement here on the Russell. Again, the Dow Hasn't broke the high, but it's been holding above here for this entire 30 minutes. NQ still holding near the low. And the ES trapped. Five minutes left in this 5 minutes left in this first 30. Continuing to get some pushes here on the tick chart. Starting to see a pullback here on the NQ. And still nothing here on the ES. Broke out, but didn't break anything. Pushed up. Didn't even reach the overnight high. Pulled back to the opening price. We're starting to see a rejection back up. The Dow is starting to push a little bit stronger. Russell, like I said, recovering quite a bit here from this push. I'd like to see more of a recovery from the NQ. See if maybe we can get into this long. Sounds like a terrible idea. What's up, guys? Anybody got anything out there? What we are going to do here is stay patient. I will say that. So far, a 12-point range since the open on the ES. Not for me. Not for me. If this is your first time with us, maybe, welcome. Normally, I've got a couple of guys trading with me here live as well. Fortunately, they can be with me this week. But we trade futures live every day starting at 9:25. We go live. We do a pre-market analysis at 9 a.m. And if there's one thing we try to do here is be very patient and very selective with our trades as much as possible. I'm not here to take 4 or 5 trades in a day. I'm here to take 1 or 2 good trades a day. And so you might sit here for 45 minutes to an hour some days before we take a trade. There's days that I might not even get into a trade, and normally Franco might get into something, or I'll take a trade and he might not take a trade, but we try to be quite selective, and we call these our internals here, the advanced decline for the NYSE, the tick chart for the NYSE, and then the same for the Nasdaq advanced decline and the tick Q here for the NQ. as some of our internals. We also like to take a look at the dollar and the VIX. Dollar's pushing down. That is good for the markets to go up. We do kind of have a trend forming here on the tick chart for the NQ to the upside. Not necessarily here on the ES that where it created a new low here. And so we're just going to stay patient. No real trend formed here either on the advanced declines. The only thing that's really moving right now is the dollar. But the VIX has no trend either. And so we're not going to be in any rush. Right? Like I said, here the breakout was going to be rough because of the profit potential. If you could have gotten in on the pullback on one of these two pullbacks and gotten out in this zone, or at least scaled out in this zone. But if you got in on the breakout, you kind of have to hold on to this trade. You had to expect a pullback here to your entry. So, I mean, maybe you could have scaled out 1-to-1 depending on where your stop was here, and then got stopped out break even. That's more so the way Franco likes to trade. He gets 1-to-1, he moves his stop to break even. I need to see it get at least very close to 1-to-1 before I move my stop. Like, I have bigger zones and bigger targets, and so I'm very much expecting a pullback to my entry before it finally gets to target. So if I was in this trade, I would need to see it break this pivot down here, and then I would move my stop to break even. That is how I trade. I would, and not just break it, but break it considerably and get close to target. Get at least to 1.5 R before I would move my stop to break even. It's a strong push down from both the Russell and the NQ. The Russell and the NQ. ES, still nothing. The Dow actually broke to a new high there, but is retracing hard. New extreme lows on the tick chart, new low on the tick chart. Not necessarily an extreme. I'd like to see it get to the blue dotted line there. But if we get a break below this pivot, trying to confirm this trend to the downside. One thing not in your favor right now is the dollar pushing down. But this spike up right here on the dollar is what's giving the market the help to the downside right now. And so now would be, if I was in this short on the breakout from this zone here, now with that solid push and that close there, I can move my stop to break even and be comfortable with this trade. But you have to be, if you set a trade and you have a zone here in between your target and your entry, you need to understand that risk and completely take that risk. If it comes to here, pulls back and stops you out, I mean, you accepted that risk when you took the trade. I can't micromanage my trades that much. I understand people that can, but you're going to get stopped out break even. You're just spending money on commission, in my opinion. If you take a break out there and move your stop immediately to break even, all you're doing is paying commission to your broker. All right, quick hard rejections off of that extreme low there, basically with the new 30-minute candle. So Let's see what this next 30-minute candle wants to do. Let's see if this breaks to new highs. This breaks to new highs. I mean, the honest truth is I don't want to be long today. We have a much higher time frame resistance on the ES. We have that 200 SMA. We have the highs here from this triple top that we didn't even touch it yesterday. We were about 2 points shy of touching it there. And so for me to be long, I need to see a convincing push and close above this SMA there at 43.1250. I did say it could likely be a ranging day. No major news today. Major news is tomorrow. I am not really a range-bound trader. That's more Franco-style trades. And so a lot less likely in a range for me to find a trade. I like to see some type of breakout, or at least a test of highs and maybe a false breakout. So either a breakout that I can get long on, or a false breakout with another rejection of that area that I can get short from. But just trading long and short inside the range is quite difficult for me. My 2-minute time frame as my lowest time frame doesn't really give me the zones and the profit potential in such a tight range. So like I said, we're going to stay patient. YM pushing back up to the high here. VIX still flat. Dollar's finding demand from the overnight and where it took off from in the London session. Back to Friday's close, or back to yesterday's close. So we'll see if the dollar pushes through there. Broke the 21 EMA. So we're going to keep an eye on that, see if it gets rejected back up, in which case we'd be looking to go short. If it breaks through and pushes down, we'd want to be looking for longs. One thing I do want to kind of mention is, right, we talk about the strength of the 4 different indexes compared to each other, and right now, very obviously, the Dow is the strongest. And so, let's say the dollar breaks through and continues to push down. One would likely say, well, if the Dow is the strongest and the dollar is pushing down, so we want to be long, I would want to be in the Dow. I understand that logic, but I don't necessarily agree with it, because I've seen too many times where this type of that type of scenario could occur, and the NQ or the Russell, which were the weakest, when this breaks down, shoot up to these highs, and so and shoot through the highs, as yes, the Dow climbs higher as well, but the amount that the NQ and the Russell would have to make up and the speed that they do it at, essentially turns them into the stronger markets, or can turn them into the stronger markets if what they're trying to do is catch up to the Dow. So you get in long in the Dow, expecting it to push much, much higher because it's the strongest market, but what ends up happening is that it kind of levels off while the Russell and the NQ need to catch up. That's my 2 cents on that. Hopefully that made sense. What's today? Tuesday. I don't know. What is that? It's the first day of school or something for a bunch of kids. Everyone took their kid to school. Because the ES is going nowhere. And here on this NQ, I mean, I talked about, okay, it finally broke, you can move your stop to break even. That's okay if that is your plan, but the truth is you should really only move it behind this pivot here. So you could reduce your risk essentially in half. But if it does what it's doing right, if you move your stop to break even, you have no protection at this level here. Your protection is this pivot, so you would need to put it here. That's why I'm very slow to move my stop. Very slow to move my stop. I accepted the risk when I put on the trade. And believe it or not, I would be more furious getting stopped out break even here and then the trade working out than if I was up this much and I got stopped out even for a full loss or a minus half R. Because for price come back, stop me out break even, and miss out on a 2R trade for half an hour, because I could completely understand you moving your stop and reducing your risk to half. Versus putting your stop at break even just so that you don't lose money, but having no real protection in your trade. All right, Dow continues to push. Breaking here. Dollar's been flat this last 30 minutes since 10 a.m. 10 a.m., remember guys, is also a new 4-hour candle. See if this is the NQ, see if this 4 hours just, is that the low? Did it already put in the low for the 4 hours? And it's going to come and test these highs? We'll see. This is a ridiculous 4-hour chart right now. That's ridiculous. Again, did it put in the low? And are we going to come and test this high? And again, right, I had the order there, right? If you move your stop to break even too quickly, all you're doing is paying commission. That's all you're doing. Giving people commission money. Ideal trade in this NQ would have been this zone, this 2-minute candle here. After a leg out, pull back into it. Could have had a limit order there after that breakdown. And the 5-minute finally did close below, right? Pull back entry to here. This one wouldn't have even pulled back to break even. The only thing is it's quite a large candle for me to risk that much, and so my target is deep into this next zone. So still nothing from the ES. The only market that's really kind of moving with any conviction is the NQ to the downside. Hey, Robert, I'm not sure if you're on or not, but I did reach out to the people from Katana yesterday, and they're looking to get it out by the end of the year, November, December. They don't have any sort of fixed calendar date. That's just what they have in their minds as far as a release date. Um, so if I get any more news on that, I will let you know. Katana is the chart trader that I have here. It is in beta. It allows you to group accounts, and so you can trade off of a master account that will copy trades onto a slave account. It also provides here your risk reward ratio. It also manages your position size, which I have had a couple of issues with. But it does manage your position size based on your account size and what parameters you put, that you put in there. And so we like it. Franco uses it. I use it. Beto, I believe, uses it as well. But it is in beta and should be out hopefully by the end of the year. Dollar stalled out there this last 30 minutes where it's at. Advanced declines are sideways. No trends. No trends. The only thing that had a trend is the dollar. Sideways, sideways, inside of sideways, inside of sideways, inside of sideways. I mean, this is garbage. Garbage. Garbage from the VIX. I mean, creating higher highs here, but that I would need more than just this to want to be long. So we wait. So we wait. Can I actually ask out there, as we wait, how long have you guys been trading for? My journey started in 2017, taking some classes, but I didn't really get into trading for real until 2019. So quite a long time. I really just spent the first couple of years just learning, taking classes, watching videos. I started with Forex and traded Forex up until 2020 with coronavirus, where because of the curfews that we had, Franco and I, Franco, Beto, I, and Kevin, another guy that we trade with, we had an office, and because of the curfew, we couldn't get to the office until after 6 o'clock in the morning, and we traded Forex in the London session here in Florida, which was 3 in the morning. So we used to go to the office at 3 in the morning, but with the curfew, we would miss the London session, and so we started to trade futures and haven't looked back since. So even here, if I would have taken this trade, gotten in on this pullback, right, this being my zone here, this being my pullback entry, broke out, pulled back here, didn't make a new, broke to a new low, but didn't close below. I could potentially reduce my risk in half, still having this pivot protection and most of this pivot protection. I would not want to have it at break even yet. The probabilities that you're just going to pay commission are high. I mean, you can move it +1 so that it doesn't actually cost you anything, but to me, that's just a wasted trade. And so if you plan for the trade, I didn't plan for this trade. I'm not necessarily bearish. I don't trade the NQ. But if the internals were short and we had this breakout and this was my zone and I got in and my internals are still saying short, you have to have conviction in this trade and let it work out. Not to say that it's going to work out, but you got to let it work itself out. NQ did just hit the value area low from yesterday here. This zone here is where it took off from yesterday. Right here. Been a I don't even know that I've ever seen a day like this on the ES in such a tight range. We still have only done 16.5 points on the day. NQ, on the other hand, 129. Still only like a third of its daily ATR, though. Dollar pushing down. Dollar pushing down. Breaking through these levels there. Broke the overnight low. Trading below yesterday's high or yesterday's close. Basically for the first time today. Has potential to move quite a bit lower. Got that pivot here. And then even further back behind that. Down to those lows. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ooh, ES finally making a move. Pull back here on the Dow. Russell's breaking out. Broke the overnight low by 1 tick. We've now done 16 3/4 of a point on the day. This Franco's kind of day too. Nice clean pullbacks. He has a much smaller time frame, so hopefully he ideally would have had a few zones in these pullbacks to try and get short from. Again, my lowest time frame, the 2 minute. It's quite a large zone there. 35 points or so for me would have been. But you can certainly get that type of movement on the NQ. All right, that would have on a BS hypothetical trade, that would have hit target there on the NQ, finally getting some sort of push down. The dollar is going down. Also, the advanced decline on the NQ is finally breaking down here. It's at least breaking this wedge to the downside here. Testing the lows here on the tick chart. Hasn't quite made it to the lows there. The VIX did break out to the upside though, so might be the sign that we need. We'd love to see the dollar go up. Dollar reverses from here and starts to go up. maybe confirming this short. We're absolutely going to wait for this 5-minute candle to close, though, before we even think of doing anything. That'll be the close of the first 5 minutes in this 30. We did get the close below on the 2-minute, but we will stay patient. I could potentially have a zone. I would do this. These 2-minute candles here. Decent profit potential there. We did have the 5-minute close. Overnight is 83.75. So basically my entry just below the overnight. Let's take a look at these internals. It's a new low there on that tick. Not a new low there. Breaking down on the advanced decline there. VIX pushing up. Dow still holding up. I mean, this could be a false breakout. Let's take a look at the NQ again real quick, see where it is. So it's still got a bit more room to get to yesterday's lows. But it's just had quite the run. It's just had quite the run. It's going to need to pull back some. So I'm not going to set this trade yet. I want to see how far back this wants to pull back. Was quite the 5-minute candle. Does it want to retrace the entire 5-minute candle? In which case I'd like to get in a bit higher than down here at the overnight high so that I can risk this 5-minute candle instead of right now I'm really just risking up into the top of this 5-minute candle. Still no sign from the Dow that it wants to go down. Would have loved to see that for just some additional confirmation. Dollar continues to push down. Advanced decline continues to push down. Tick chart pulled back to the 0 line. Starting to push back down. Still would not have filled my order. Still about here at 89. Still at 89. And another pullback on the tick chart. Not showing up on the actual chart though. There we go. This tick chart, we're going to see how it reacts here off of the 0 line. Does it come and test these highs and get rejected off? The NQ's pushing to its highs. Dollar continues to come down. VIX we would like to see go up. But let's see if we get a deeper pullback. I wasn't deep enough of a pullback for me. This could certainly continue to drop without pulling back much deeper. The market, especially here on the NQ, seems to have some conviction to the downside. And these have all been healthy pullbacks. Three minutes in this 15. And we still haven't had a 15 close below. I actually thought that the last 15, but it was after the 10:30 candle that closed below. And so definitely want to see this 15-minute close down. Tick chart still pushing up. NQ is just made a new high on the tick chart. ES is at the high on the tick chart. At the high, new high. Dollars screaming down. Who knows? We might look to get long. Retest. 15 is going to make it much more difficult for me to get into this now, because now I'm going to want to see price action up here in this zone to get into this trade, but I'm also going to want to see the 15-minute close down here somewhere. So for me to wait for the 15-minute to close is going to be very late to the price action for it to get back down here. Now we do only have 45 seconds left in this 15. The NQ having a much healthier pullback, but was that also maybe the low? Right, new 15, closing as a rejection candle. False breakout thus far. And we wait. Here to take a good trade, not any trade. We're here to stay patient. If there's any manner in which we help you here, I hope that it is in your patience as a day trader. Tick charts push to new highs, pulled back to the zero, getting rejected off, push to new highs, pulled back, getting rejected off. The dollar continues to come down, has this pivot here. Support could become new resistance there, or resistance could become new support here. Price could get rejected off and go long from, which would not help a long cause, but if it just continues to push down, certainly see this being the low on the day. This is the lows from where it took off from yesterday on the NQ. Not necessarily the lows here on the ES where it took off from on the 4-hour candle. Still no price action to get long from. Or sorry, to get short from here. But these new highs could be the signal that the market's reversing. And that the NQ now is ready to go long. Can certainly come down here and test again. Or even test the zero line. This isn't yet the signal to go long, but it could be the beginning signs of a long. We'd like to see the advanced decline start to trend up. It did already break the 21 EMA here on the NYSE advanced decline. VIX is starting to come back down. Adding to the long sentiment. We'd love to see the dollar then continue to come down. See if maybe this is just a healthy pullback to continue down. If you guys are just joining us, no trades so far. The ES has been in a very, very ridiculously tight range the entire morning and overnight session. Finally, we opened here at 9:30, chopped around inside of the overnight range for over an hour, and finally broke out in the last 15-20 minutes to the downside, but quickly pulled back. A nice rejection candle here on the 15-minute. And so no trades so far. I did have a potential short setup after the breakout and pullback. But in waiting for this 5-minute candle to close, the potential that it could pull back much deeper in this 5-minute candle. So that gave me pause to set the order, and then waiting for the 15-minute candle to then close at that point, since I took the order off and it closed up here. So still no trades. Haven't set this trade. Maybe if we get some price action and the internals come back down, we could maybe still potentially look to get short. But I got nothing yet. The NQ was the mover this morning. It did move down nicely with some healthy pullbacks. But I do not trade the NQ. That's normally Franco or Beto trading the NQ. And so no trades for me yet. Five minutes left in this 30. And like I continue to say, we're going to stay patient. Find a well planned out trade and trade that plan. So we did get a deeper pullback here on the tick chart. The zero line did not hold, but it did not come necessarily to any extreme lows down here. So we'll see. Does it come back up to these highs and start to hang out above the zero line? Same here. Or are we just going to continue to chop around from the highs to the lows? Want to see the advanced decline continue to push up if we're looking to get long. Need the dollar to come and turn back around short if we want to get long. And we want to see the VIX here come back down and break these lows if we want to get long. But so far, sideways on the VIX. Downward trend on the dollar, which is really long for the market, even though the NQ and the Russell have just been going down. So some divergence there as far as as far as the dollar and the markets are concerned. And then really a sideways mess here on the advanced declines until this final breakdown on the NQ, but sideways and sideways, false breakout here on the ES, back inside of the range. No trade is better than a bad trade. And from the fact that nobody's called out any zones on the chat or anything like that, guessing nobody has much going on out there either. And to add even more confusion, the algos are net long on the NQ and, or sorry, net long on the ES and net short on the NQ. So the markets are not in sync today, where yesterday we were long all markets on our algorithms. Markets were much more in sync. Today they're absolutely not in sync. Starting to get a pushback down. Could have maybe taken this confirmation, but to me this could also be the low of the day, and so not in any rush to go short. In fact, truth is I like the long more than anything. Markets try to spend the whole morning going short. If it wanted to go short, the NQ and the Russell would have dragged this short with it. This false breakout to the downside gives me more pause to the downside than anything. Just no confirmation from the internals here to get long. And so 11 o'clock, guys. Not much going on. I think I'm going to call it a morning. Go for a walk. Come back in 15 or 20 minutes. See if anything has changed. And if I'll put a recap out regardless, but especially if I take a trade here in the afternoon. Again, I just want to make sure, guys, stay patient, right? If you trade the ES like me, it hasn't gone anywhere yet. If you trade the NQ, you certainly could have had a few setups so far, and I could certainly see some setups that have formed in this movement down. But please stay patient. Good trades only. Thank you guys for joining us. Trading Futures Live. Again, we show you our winners. We show you our losers. No trade today. But we'll catch you guys back tomorrow, 9 a.m. for the pre-market analysis. 9:25 we go live. And deuces.